In this first video, we're going to talk about some of the different things on your computer, and I'm going to walk you through a few different things that I want you to do. Now, this is a video, right? I mean, that should be obvious for right now, but the reason I specifically mention that is because you can pause it at any time. So, when I tell you to do something in the video, pause the video and then go ahead and do that. If I'm showing you step by step, then you can watch that step and you can pause it and do the same thing and then press play when you're ready. If you're trying to watch the whole thing and remember everything and do it all at the end, that's not going to work very well. So, throughout this course, this is what we're going to be doing a fair bit of, where you watch a video and as you watch, you pause and you do a step or two, as I did, and then you play, you watch, you pause, you do those same steps. For today, sort of the main thing that we're going to do is get used to sort of the computer itself. So you're on a Macintosh, you're on an Apple, you're on an iMac to be specific. So the iMac that you're on is fairly new and it's running OS X. OS X is the operating system. It's the software that runs before you run another program. So if you're used to like your phone, like an iPhone or an Android phone, it's like the program on your phone before you actually run an app. If you have a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Switch, it's sort of like the software that's running when you turn on your system without actually putting a game in, right? So it's all those menus and everything that you can find different things, download things, etc. So you have the iMac, which is the physical computer you're sitting at. Right now, you basically see the screen, right? Now, if you look to like one of the computers behind yours, right, to see the back of it, it should look something like this, right? So this is the back of the iMac. You've got the power button over here, right? So you can see it on the right side. On yours, it's going to be on the left side. If you reach behind your computer and just kind of lightly feel around, you should feel a slight indentation that's sort of a circle-ish shape. That's the power button. You don't normally need to mess with that unless if you come into class and you move the mouse around or the space bar around and the computer doesn't turn on, then your computer's probably actually off instead of being asleep, and so you might have to just lightly tap that button, which should turn it on. Now, on the other side, you've got all of these ports, right? So if I open up this other image, it's a little bit larger and they're labeled. Most of these aren't going to be very important to you for this class, but this first one here is the headphone jack, and that is rather important because we do a lot of content through video, which means that if you have like 20 other people in the room at the same time, you can have lots of noise. So using the headphone jack, using headphones or earbuds is important. Now that we have sort of the basics of the hardware covered, and of course there's a whole lot more we could go into, but for time we're not going to, let's talk about what exactly we're looking at here. So this screen is your desktop. That's what we call it, right? So it's supposed to be sort of like a digital version of like the top of a desk or a table or something like that, like a place that you would do work, right? And so you might do your homework here, you might do drawings here, you might read a book here, whatever, right? So it's like a table and you would put stuff on here to work on, right? Let's talk about sort of how that works. We can see a couple different things now. We can see this overhead menu up here. We can see these icons over here, which is where I pulled these two graphics from. I can go ahead and get rid of those now since I don't need them. And we've got these icons down here, right? So this is a menu up top. This is your overhead menu. And this menu will change when you are in different applications, right? So right now it's on Finder, which is sort of what the operating system calls itself when you're navigating through it. We've got these icons over here on our desktop. So just about anything can sit on your desktop, but you don't want it to get too cluttered because then it can be hard to find things. And then down here is your dock. And this is a quick, efficient way to launch programs that you use often. This is where your dock should start, but to us, it's not really the most efficient way to keep it, right? So right now we're in widescreen mode, right? Our screen is pretty wide, but it's not very tall. And this dock down here is eating up even more of the height, which we don't have a whole lot of. What we do have a lot of is width. So we would like you to move your dock onto the left side. There's a couple ways we can do this. We can go up here into the Apple on our overhead menu. We can go to System Preferences. In this window, this is where we can customize some of the settings on our computer. Most of them we won't mess with, and some of them you won't be able to change anyways because of the way the district has set up the computer. The important one for right now is this one that says dock. So go ahead and click on it. And here you can see whether it's small or large. You can see magnification, which might not appear to do anything, but let's look at the difference. Right now it's on max. If I hover over something, oh, let's check it. There we go. Now if I hover over something, see how it magnifies when I put the mouse over it. If I shrink it down to min, right now it doesn't do it at all. So if you like that effect, you can decide about how much you like. Or you can just turn it off altogether. It's really your option. Most of these don't really matter. The one that we do care about is the position on screen, right? So I said that we want this on the left. So you can go ahead and tell it left, and then you can decide what looks like a good amount to you. Now mine won't get very large now because I have a whole lot in here, and I don't need all of these, but these are the ones that came by default when I set up this computer. The rest of these don't really matter, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that for now. So now I have a little bit more vertical space back, right? I lost a little bit of horizontal space, but I think it was worth it because I didn't have a whole lot of vertical space, but I had plenty of horizontal space. The next thing that we want to do is to actually put a new icon in our dock. So I mentioned before that this is an easy way to access programs, right? So these icons here, it's sort of like your home screen on your phone, right? So I can click on any of these and it will launch that application, right? So I can launch iBooks from here and it'll pop up when it's ready. I can launch Safari, which has the graphics here that I was borrowing. I can launch Notes or the calendar. I can launch any of these programs from here, right? Now, when a program is open or running, you see it has the little dot there, right? So like Safari is open, although I closed the window or I minimized the window, you can see it down here, it's still open, that dot shows it's open. Calendar I closed, but it didn't actually quit, it's still open. Notes, when I closed it, it did actually quit. Right? Oh, now calendar closed, it was just being a little slow. So these little dots signify that a program is open, right? So just because you click the little X doesn't always mean that the application has quit. And if that little dot is still there, it can be eating up some of your computer's performance. It can be slowing down your computer. So just be mindful of those little dots. Now, by default, your dock should have this little icon in it. This is Safari. Now, Safari is the default web browser that comes on your machine. You also have Firefox and Chrome already installed. Safari is a great browser, however, the district doesn't update it, so yours is quite out of date. Firefox and Chrome on your machine are also out of date, but they're not as out of date. So we would like you to add them to your dock. It doesn't matter which one, whether you like Firefox or Chrome better, we're okay with either one, but add one of them to your dock. So if we click the Launchpad here, we can see some of the other applications installed on the computer. I don't have a whole lot installed on this computer, but you have quite a bit on yours. You should actually see a little button down here, or two little buttons, where you can actually view more. I can't view more because I don't have enough to start a new screen. What you're looking for is either Firefox or Chrome. Doesn't matter which one. So take one click and hold down. So I'm clicking and I'm holding down on it, right? And all the little application icons get all squiggly. I can take this, I could move it around, but that's not really important. The important part is actually taking it and putting it in my dock, right? So I can move it around on here and actually place it in between two icons. So now it's on my dock. Now I have easy access to this application on my dock without having to go through the Launchpad each time. So now that we have Firefox in our dock, I'm going to go back up here and click on the apple. I'm going to System Preferences, same place we modified the dock. And in this window, I'm going to click General, and here I can change my default web browser from Safari to one of the other two that I have installed. So since I chose Firefox to put in my dock, I'm going to make it match, right? So I can close this. If I reopen it, that choice should still be there. It should automatically save, and there it is. That's the main thing that I want you to do today. Now to prove you've done it, I want you to take a screenshot. On a Mac, that's pretty easy to do actually. We just need to hit a combination of the same keys on our keyboard. The combination that we're looking for is Command, Shift, and 3. So if you look down at your keyboard, if you see the space bar, to the left of the space bar you see the Command key, a little bit further left and a little up you see the Shift key, and above both of those, towards the top of the keyboard, you should see the 3 key. On the right of the space bar you see another Command key and another Shift key. It doesn't matter which Command and Shift you hit, as long as you press them and then you press 3, right? So I like to use my left thumb and my left pinky to hold Command and to hold Shift, and then I use my middle finger or my index finger to press 3, and that should take a screenshot. If it worked, you should hear like a camera sound, and you should see a new icon on your desktop. If you open this, it should be what you're seeing, right? So I can go ahead and close that. If we look on our dock here, we can see that I closed the file, but the program is actually still open, right? We see preview has the dot, so I can tell it up here to actually quit the program. If I try the other Command and Shift, so I can hold Command and Shift with my right hand and press the same 3 with my left hand, now I have 2 screenshots, right? So I don't need more than one, I just need one, so I'll go ahead and throw the other one in the trash, and I'll keep just the one on my desktop. So that's the main thing I want you to do today. So if it's time to go at this point, you'll go ahead and log out. But if we have a few minutes still, you might try logging into ManageBot. Make sure you can still log in. Make sure you remember your password. If you can't remember your password, maybe you ask it to send you an email, so that way next class you'll have that ready to be able to change your password. Or if we have enough time, you might be able to change it today and try to get in. If we have time and you don't know what ManageBot is, maybe ask one of your peers. Majority of the 6th graders should know what it is by now between the class last semester, the art class, and the PE class that was using it. If you are ready to log out, that's pretty easy. On a Mac, at the top here, we click this little apple, same place we found System Preferences, and we just tell it to log out.